All right. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit we, on the naming and filing documents, right? Like I told you, project or in a project environment, you got a lot of documents, most especially if it's a big project. So you need to be able to know how to take care of those documents as it relates to the proper filing requirement. You should be able to file those documents in such a way that whenever you want any of the documents, it will not create a kind of a problem. You do it in such a way that it should be hassle free. Remember, we talked about the filing system requirement. So this is part of the filing system requirement, naming and filing the document. So we are saying here that the project policy determines how files are named, right? The way that you need to tag files, it depends on the policy, right, of the project. For example, files can be named to indicate which division or discipline the document is concerned with. Which discipline, right? For example, in a project environment, you come across different disciplines. For example, it could be, let's say, in a construction project, you have a structural engineering discipline, could be the precast section, or you could have the electrical, mechanical, and those kind of stuff, right? So documents that pertains to each discipline needs to be named and tagged appropriately so that you can be able to know which is which. Right. So in addition to that, one needs to know in doing a naming and filing document where the document originated from and when. The source of the document needs to be put into consideration when you are filing a document or naming documents to be filed. Then, who is it from? Where the originator of the document needs to be taken into consideration as well? Or who is it to? The destination of the document needs to be put into consideration. Other things that needs to be taken into consideration is the format of the document, right? For example, you need to have, if need be, different filing uh, spaces for different documents, right? For example, or different format of documents. If it is letters, fax, or email, so if you will, you can do a kind of distinguish, kind of using a separate format, you know, in filing those documents, so that you can be able to know which is which. Right. Then what the document is all about needs to be taken into consideration. So let me unpack a little bit again about what I mean by the format of the document. For example, if you want to file all letters in one area, right? So you can use that to name to tag the document. You say this one is for letters, right? This other one is for fax. This one's an email, something of such. Then the classification level of the document needs to be established. A unique sequence number indicating the order in which the document were created. So all those things needs to be agreed upon based on the policies of the project, as we said, or any other combination of this information. Right. So there is what we call structure and indexing of filing system to reflect project, sub-project, phase, and stage level management quality. So an index, as we said here, is a directory or catalog of file document. Have you seen something like that before? An index, right? For example, when you go to the library, they got a kind of a catalog, right? These days is digitized. When you go to the library, they got a computer, kind of a desktop, whereby you can access the catalog, right? The catalog, it indicates where the documents are being filed in the library, right? So an index, as we said here, is a directory or catalog of filed documents, right? An index will be kept of every filed document or every document filed according to which phase or stage level file it is kept in. So when you go to the library, right, the librarians, when you tell the librarians the type of book or perhaps the title of the book you are looking for, then they type in, they open their computer, quickly they go to the database where right, the database is a kind of a catalog as well. Then they type in the title. Then they will see the catalog, the names, where the shelf, where the book is being kept. Then they will write it on a piece of paper. They can give it to you, or they go with you straight to where the document is filed. From there, you can be able to retrieve it. Right. That is what we are talking about. So a document name or name of a document can be created in this form, right? Right. For example, ACC.PLAF001 stroke TJ, right? This one stands for something, right? For example, where CC are the first three letters of the company the document originated from, right? For example, if you are in charge of managing the document, perhaps you've been employed as an administrator, right? Administrator to minister or to manage the document. So what is going to happen is that, for example, you receive any correspondence from another organization, right? Remember what I said, before you file the document, you don't just take the document and then file it away. You need to put a name for easy identification, right? For you to be able to know the type of what the document is by the time you to help you in retrieving the document when the document is needed. So you can name the document in this form, right? This is just a typical example. ACC are the first three letters of the company the document originated from. For example, if the document is from College of Cape Town, right? You can say College of Cape Town, right? You can say C of C, for example, C of C. Then PLA, the first letter of the company that the document was sent to, right? Okay, C of C dot WCC. That means sent to West Coast College. Does it make sense to you? Then F indicate that the document was sent will indicate that the document was sent to, I think there's something that is missing here, was sent to whether through fax or email, right? If it is fax, you say F. Then 001 indicate that it is the first document. If it is the first document, you say 001, right? If it is the second document, you say 002. If it is the third document, you say 010, right? Concerning the project. Then TJ is the person who wrote the fax. Okay, F is for fax. Yeah, we already explained that. So the person that wrote the fax, you use the initial of that person. So you can be able to know exactly, for example, look here, where the document is coming from, right? And where the document is sent to, the medium that was used to send the document, right? The type of the whether it was first document or second document, right? Then where it is coming from, who wrote or who sent the fax, right? So this is a kind of identification that can help you, right? Then annotating multiple numbers of document. Perhaps you can receive many numbers, right? A lot of documents, right? So you need to annotate them so that you can be able to identify to know which is which. Annotate means to make notes or comment on document, right? So one way of ensuring that the latest document is the one being used is to annotate each document created, right? When you create a document, or when you receive a document, you need to comment on it, which means you need to annotate it. So it will help you to know in terms of discerning which one is the latest document, right, from the previous document or outdated document. Let me put it that way, outdated document. Then the most obvious way to do this is to date each document. You put the date. Some people they got a stamp, or some companies they got a stamp. When they receive any new document, right? They stamp put a stamp. That stamp will have the date on which the document was received. From there, you can be able to know that this one is new, this other one is been received long time ago. So when any document is revised, you can be able to know the latest one. I remember when I was working in a construction company, the tiling company, you know, we always make use of the latest document, not the outdated document. I remember those days when we received what we call it blueprint, that is architectural plan. If there is anyone that is revised, then my boss will just come forward, say, okay, this one, let's put two lines, cancel it, you say superseded, superseded, superseded. That means that is being revised. We always have to make use of the latest document, right? So the most obvious way to do this is to date each document. Yeah, right. Okay, I will speak to you later. Yeah. So the computerized document can be created with an automated or automatic date stamp, which may also include who created the document, like I explained to you just now. Right. So there's what we call backup system. You know what is a backup? It's always good to have a backup because if you don't have a backup and it's only uh, once the original have got a problem and you have no backup, that means what is going to happen? You're going to experience a lot of problems. So backup is storing information, information data in a different location from where it is worked on. For example, you got a server, right? You know what is a server? A server acts as a backup. You see, the various computers in the computer lab, they are connected to the server. So whatever you done on the computer there, it gets stored, backed up in the server, right? Okay. So backing up is storing information data in a different location from where it is worked on. So working copy of a document is a document which is worked on regularly, right? So the one that you are working on, that you work on regularly, is a copy. Then you have a backup, which is mostly in the server. The standalone computer is a computer which is not linked to any other computer or server, right? Then the server is a computer which holds the information, like I said, for a number of others linked computers. So these are uh, concepts that you need to embrace here. You need to know the difference between standalone computer, a server, and a backing up. Yeah. Then we got two types of Jonga. We got two types, two ways that a data can be backed up, right? We have full backup and differential backup. I think you must have done this in your LO class, right? LO. We got full backup, differential backup. What is a full backup? If a full backup is done, all the documents are copied every time the backup happens. Right? A full backup is like this. Each time you come to the computer to make use of, you know, to make use of it, whatever new additional that have been added. So the backup will start from the beginning, from Genesis to Revelation, not just additional or not just backing up the additional work that you have done. So the one that back up the additional work you've done, that one is called a differential backup. So, my friend, don't make noise. I'm teaching you, please. If a full backup is done, all the documents are copied every time the backups happen. So differential only make changes to the new ones that you've done. So we said here, if differential backup is done, then only the changes made to the document are backed up. So you need to know the difference between the full backup and the differential backup. So handling sensitive or confidential documents. There are certain documents that are confidential. Can you eat later you come in? There are certain documents that are confidential, right? Because in a project environment, you got different types of documents that are being employed in a project environment. Some are sensitive, which are confidential. Some are not confidential, right? So here we are going to talk about the different types of documents that you could come across during the execution of your project. We got highly confidential documents, right? These documents are only accessible or only senior management will be allowed to have access to confidential documents, right? For example, in the exam, they can ask you to give examples of confidential document, right? For example, you have the financial record, the budget details, right? The project senior level strategies. So all these things, all these documents are only senior managers, sorry to say, are allowed to have access to such a document, the budget, the finances. Then you have, uh, remember we said this one's, the first one is highly confidential. Then this one confidential document containing information about staff and customer, which may be personal or private, right? So we consider those to be confidential. Only made available to a limited number of people. For example, the salary, right? The salary of someone or the salary of an employee or a team member is confidential. Like as we are working here, now, we don't know the salary of each member. You don't tell anybody. That thing can cause a big problem. Hello, what is wrong with you now? That thing can cause a very big problem, right? So salaries are confidential, health records are confidential. My friend, don't play with me, please. So salaries are confidential. You don't tell people your salary, how much you've been paid. You know, this one can cause a very big problem. Because, for example, if two of you are doing the same job, you are a team member, and one is being paid more than the other. If you happens to know that what is receiving is more than yours, will you be happy? So salary is confidential. You don't tell people, right? Then health record of staff is confidential. Contract is confidential. You don't have to be showing a copy of your contract to that person because that person gonna see the conditions of your contract, perhaps even your salary. So you keep it as a secret. Then personal details of staff and client, all these ones are confidential. In the exam, they can give you certain words, right? They will ask you to classify them into different categories, whether it's highly confidential or confidential or public. Then you got restricted document containing information which only contain people or department within the project, right? Document containing information which only certain people or department within the project needs to have access to. For example, claim payment details, diaries, schedule of management, and all those stuff. Then you got general document. Any person can have access to general documents. Those who contains information anyone could have access to. For example, right, we got open office memorandum, right, letterhead and template, and some training manual. Those are general. Anyone can have access to those. Right. So then here we are going to talk about template. You know what is a template, right? A template is a pre-formatted document, skeleton document, right? Containing headings and explanatory text, but without content, right? Every form or every document, let me say, virtually all documents we use in project management or in a project environment are in a template, right? In form of a template, whereby it's been pre-formatted, right? When we say skeleton, that means nothing is written on it, right? Then perhaps sometimes you got certain headings and explanatory text to guide you in completing the template. Right. Here we need to talk more about the different types of templates being used in a project environment. This one is very important. You should be able to classify the template into different categories. For example, you have the correspondence template. Which ones are the correspondence template? Letters, right? Memorandum, faxes, email. You know what is a memorandum? Memorandum. Memorandum is used to uh, disseminate information within the organization. They can call it a circular, right? Yeah. Then this one is for correspondence. Why do we classify it as correspondence? Because you are using it to communicate, right, with people, team members, perhaps within the organization. So we classify this one as template for correspondence, email. Then the project document, you have minutes of meeting, minutes of meeting, right? You got minutes of meeting. You know, how many of you have seen minutes of meeting before? Hello, are you sleeping? Minutes of meeting, right? Minutes is a project document. Perhaps you've organized a ad hoc meeting or steering committee meeting or suppliers meeting. So whatever engagement that happens during the meetings needs to be written down, right, for future reference. That is the minutes of meeting. It's a kind of a minutes of meeting that can be utilized for future reference, right? It can help you to know what was discussed in the meeting. Then you got document transmitter form. This one is no longer common or mostly in use these days. Fax machine, there used to be when you make use of a fax machine, there used to be a document called a transmitter form, right? Where you write the address, the email address, the name of the company, the number of pages, and all those stuff. I don't know whether you've seen that before, but these days, the use of fax is no longer in common. So we don't make use of fax these days. You know fax, have you seen a fax machine before? Okay. Then program schedule, right? These are project documents. Project schedule could be a Gantt chart. Right? Then cost report is a project document. Then equipment data sheet. Equipment data sheet. This is a kind of a document that contains the information, right, about your equipment. It contains the profile, the specification of your equipment. For example, if it's a project that is using a computer, right? The specification of the computer will be there, the memory, the year it was manufactured, all those type of stuff. The software that is using is going to be there. You read it on the project equipment data sheet. For example, if you are using a bulldozer, grader, you need to write the capacity of the grader, the year it was manufactured, the name and everything. Right. That is what you can find on the equipment data sheet. Then standing order. This is a kind of standing order that is always being issued For example, in a construction project, right, by the architect. Then material control sheet is a kind of document that you can use to control, right? The materials, the movement of to track the movement of materials. Then the contract document, requisition form. This one is used to request for something that needs to be bought. For example, in a project environment, if there are certain things that you need that are not available, then you fill in, you complete a requisition form. That requisition form needs to be signed up by the project manager. Then they will take it to the purchasing or the procurement department or the finance to organize whatever that have been requisited or requested. Then budget authorization, right? It's a kind of a template. Change notice if there are certain things, changes to be made to the scope of the project. So there you can make use of a change notice template. The change order. Order is a kind of authorization, authorizing a change that needs to be made to the project scope. Then site instruction as well. Then these ones are financial document. In the exam, they will ask you to classify this document, right? So you should be able to classify this document. Know the one that is for correspondence, know the one that is for project document, know the one that is for financial document, right? For example, it's easy. You can know these are for finances, petty cash version, right? Petty cash returns. You've done this in the financial management. Petty cash voucher. For example, I remember when I was small, like you, I used to work in a construction company. I was the one that was going out to make photocopies. Then my boss would call me, I was very small. So we need to make copies now, right? He would give me the document. For example, like this, he said, you must go and make copies of this. So what you do, listen, wait, let me round up. What you do is you go to the cashier, right, to take money for the photocopy. So when I get to the cashier will count the number of pages. Then before he gives out the money, then he will bring a paper. They call it petty card voucher. We write it, right, the purpose of it and everything. You say, okay, take this 20 rand, go and make photocopies. When you done, you bring the receipt. So when I come back, then he will take this one again, not petty cash voucher, petty cash returns. Then he will write it, then attach the receipt. They must have taught you in financial management. The time sheet to record the time in terms of, right. You can use a time sheet to record the attendance, right, of the team members. For example, if you have team members that are being paid per hourly basis or per daily basis, right? You write their names and then you see the times that they were at work. Then there's time sheet to record their time at work, right? Then time sheet is very important when you are dealing with casual workers, because the days they are not there, the hours they are not there, you cut off. You see, they wouldn't be paid. So if you don't have a system of recording them, or recording their attendance, what is going to happen? You end up paying people that were not at work. So it's very important as well. The travel and expense claim, right? This one has to do with people that will travel out of their working place, right? Going to work outside. Then when they come back, whatever expenses they've used, they need to be paid. So they put up an expense claim or travel through expense claim, whereby they need to be reimbursed, right? So that is how this thing works. Let me see this. Yeah. So you see an example of a petty cash voucher. Can I tell you something? This one is very important. It comes out every year. They will ask you to draw it. Yes, very, very important in the exam. This one is very important. When this one comes out, it's always 10 or 15 marks. This one, I decided to put it here because it comes out in the exam. Because if you check your book, it's not there. But I decided to put it because every year it's coming out. Yeah, it might come out now or internal exam or external exam. If you check most of the past question papers, you will see it. It's always there, yeah. So petty cash voucher, you have the date, the purpose, the value, the amount, the balance. Right. You just draw it like this, then you get the marks. Right? Description of what the money is going to be used for, then charge to, yeah. No, they will just tell you to draw a template of a petty cash voucher. Yeah. It's like this. Yeah, even if you cannot put it, arrange it like this, if you are able to say date, purpose, amount, balance, petty, the description, charge to receive, approved by, then we're gonna get the marks. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you can work it out. But sometimes you don't even work it out, you just write it out like a template. It depends on how the question is being said. Yeah. So, yeah, so we're gonna stop there. Next time we're gonna, yeah, start with, I'll check either this topic or any other topic. And I see I need to go after this. So let's stop here. You see, so what I'm going to do is that today I'm gonna upload this for those people that are not here and you that, yeah, so you can benefit from it.